Welcome to Sister Scoop, where we are covering the top 3 Marvel news topics of the week. And we're going to hit you guys with pretty much all X-Men related content for this one, because I'm going to tell you now, we are recording this on the 12th. I believe they said on the 14th, there's going to be a ton of announcements. So by the time you guys are probably watching this, we're going to be behind. I'm going to be honest with you. We're just going to preface that. We're going to put it out there. Regardless, there's a lot of rumors floating around. There's also been a possible confirmation. It's weird because I don't feel like I've seen it directly from Marvel yet that we've gotten this exact confirmation. But the first is that Kit Connor is supposedly, it's been getting covered by pretty much every major news outlet, going to be playing our Cyclops in the live action X-Men.
Yeah, I would consider his casting to be in the same category as Samara Weaving, basically confirmed with the exception of the studio's official announcement. To what you kind of hinted at in your opening, I almost called it SDCC, but that passed and we were there. No, D23 is this weekend. So that's why there's an expectation that there's going to be a lot of announcements, because a lot of people speculated coming out of course, the SDCC panels where we didn't talk, or Marvel didn't talk about the X-Men and any casting there, that this was going to be the big weekend to do that. So I would say I would expect this to be confirmed for Kit Connor within the next, couple of days over the weekend, if not Friday. Look, Katie and I talked about it. We were texting back and forth. Originally, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I think because I was still picturing him as the young Kit Connor from the early Heartstopper seasons. And I haven't watched the show, but I know a lot. It was very popular. So I've seen a lot of images from it. But then I was like, all right, let me just give the guy the benefit of the doubt. And I started Googling him now. And I was like, oh, he's grown. He could, the way he's grown up and matured, I feel like I'm feeling a little bit better about it. But originally I just had that very young version of him stuck in my head. And I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this.
I don't like it. So personally, I'm not really a fan of this casting. I know the actor. I've seen him in things. Maybe there's a part of me that my heart was still hoping he'd be Hulkling, because a lot of people wanted him to be across from his past co-star. But I also I don't know. I think him and Sadie look like siblings. I just don't really think this doesn't really give my Cyclops. Now, I understand we're going a little younger than we've seen done before. I'm not expecting a James Marsden to be walking in the door. But I do think, knowing some of the names we were throwing out even last week that were in the rumor mill, to me, they gave Cyclops. I just really liked the look of them for that role. I just thought they made more sense. I was a little bit more familiar with their acting abilities. I will say that. So maybe I'm a little partial in that way as well. I did see, I know what they're in a little bit more. But I want to like it, and I'm sure he'll do great. I'm sure he has the ability. They didn't choose him for no reason. Right now, I'm not behind this one personally.
I get it. That was my initial reaction as well. I feel look, I know he's a good actor. I know people have really enjoyed a lot of what he's done. So I feel if the chops are there, they're not going to pick someone who's not going to do justice to the role. And I think it's just hard to maybe picture him now. But I don't know. I'm open to it, I guess, is kind of where I'm landing. I've got myself to be open to the casting. So
I'm not.
It is what it is.
I'm not open to it. I just don't. I don't know. I actually, when they were talking about Charles Melton being Beast, that's kind of hard because I'm thinking physique wise, but I don't know. There was a part of me that was actually, I could kind of see Kit Connor being Beast. But I'm thinking of who played him in the Jennifer Lawrence ones.
Oh, Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's because they just kind of, to me, give the same vibe that I was just I could actually see him being that character more than I see, Scott Summers.
I think that's fair.
When James Marsden walks in the room, you're that's Cyclops. That's a leader. That's Scott Summers, And obviously, I know we've had... I don't know who played him in the Jennifer Lawrence one.
Yeah.
He wasn't as major. He was still a major role, but not in the same way that I think James Marsden was, obviously, in the first ones. But even he did a good job of being that's Cyclops, even young. If we want to talk about him being young, that, you were yes, that's him. I don't know. I don't feel that commanding presence yet. And honestly, let me just say it all to say, I hope he proves me wrong. If he ends up being cast, if this ends up being fully confirmed, especially in like 2 days, I really do hope he proves me wrong. There's something to him that they saw that they said this will make sense as Cyclops. And then I can sit here and say, after we watch an X-Men movie, yeah, that's my Scott Summers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it, but I'm also, to your point, hoping that, you know, he does a really good job, and in a year or so, we're like, hey, actually, you know what? More power to you because you did it. And
Yeah.
you turned some people who maybe weren't sure into real supporters.
Yeah, I'm all open to it. So I'll leave it at that. The next one I'm extremely excited about. Now, the next one, guys, I want to like clip farm our own video somewhere because we did an X-Men casting ages ago. And my top pick for Gambit, my absolute favorite X-Men, was Austin Butler. Now, a lot of people will point out a lot of things about, oh, well, like you're just going off looks and stuff. This is partially true. I'm not going to sit there and say, I mean, they're playing the face. Like you gotta. But I also said because of his devotion to being able to do voice acting the way he does, that he would pull off properly doing the accent. I know we joke around about Channing Tatum's accent. I understand. Whatever. At the end of the day, I knew he could pull it off. He is now rumored to be in the looks for possibly playing Gambit. And this is one of those things that I think I've just thrown into the universe to manifest.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think on the face of it, I like it. To everything you said, he definitely, like, if you look at Gambit, like, I'm thinking about the X-Men 97 version, right? Like, this is the version that we're seeing on our screens right now.
Yeah.
He is ripped from,
The pages.
that show. Just
Yeah.
give him the red hair. To your point, I mean, we all have seen the work that he's done with accents and, really putting in a lot of effort to be authentic in that way. And while Channing, maybe took a different route in his accent, I think what we're going to see from the long-term Gambit is someone who's actually dedicated to doing maybe more serious tone of it. And that could have also been the tone of the movie as well,
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine. But I think a more, like serious take on the accent, and Austin can absolutely nail that. My one caveat, looking at some of the actors, that they've already cast, is he is pretty significantly older than the rest of them. He doesn't necessarily look it, like, I think there's ways to make him look younger, that could make him, seem more kind of in the realm of where everybody else is at. But if you look at kind of where he is in his life in terms of like how old he is, and a Sadie or a Kit, or I'm not sure exactly how old Samara is, but she seems to be kind of in that age group as well, he kind of stands out. That's my only caveat there. Just kind of looking in the group now that we potentially have one.
No, I will say I do agree. Because obviously when we were casting, I think we gave like 2 or 3 picks for each, and I think we kind of went off of like younger, middle, maybe older. Like we were kind of trying to like go across the board. I don't think he was my like youngest pick. I don't fully remember, but I do know he was in there. I think he was that middle group. I do think he's a little older. I do think there's ways to work around it depending on the story they're telling. Also, I know they're already talking about Gambit castings, but if we're starting at the very beginning, Gambit's not in the beginning. So there is a little bit of that aspect too that I'm wondering how that plays in. I mean, either way, I'd just like to be really right. And also I'm really excited to hopefully see him be Gambit. So I'm being a little selfish.
Just forget the rest. It's fine.
That's what I'm saying. I'm being a little selfish. Another one that I'm sure a lot of ladies are going to be a little selfish about. Now, I have to preface, I haven't watched Supernatural, so I'm so sorry. But Jensen Ackles is being looked at now for Magneto. Now, as an X-Men 97 fan,
I mean, enough said. Literally, when I saw that, all I could think was Zaddy meet real life Zaddy. Like, if you're going off vibes alone, it's perfect. I also do think if you're looking age-wise, obviously we always talk about Professor X and Magneto are older than, the students, of course. So I think that age difference, kind of where he is with against a Sadie Sink, makes sense. I could see him with the hair. He's done superhero stuff before. You guys obviously probably know he's been in The Boys. So I could actually see him doing this really well. And again, like, the vibes are immaculate. So yeah, let's bring the internet's other Zaddy that's not Pedro into the MCU and have him play Magneto. I think would be really fun.
Yeah, I'm into this one. I'd be intrigued to see who they end up as, like putting as Professor X across from him. Because I
Yeah.
feel like once you get one piece there, it's kind of like the whole thing, like we got Jean, so we're figuring out like, does Kit make sense as, Scott Summers across from her? Because you really don't have a Jean without Scott.
Right,
So
like who are
I
the
am,
iconic duos? They have to go
yeah,
together and that chemistry has to be really right or the movie's going to feel really wrong.
exactly. So I'm intrigued to see if they go down this route, who will be casted across from him. But I'm a fan of this one. I like it. All of these are going to be interesting if they pan out. Obviously, we'll find out in maybe 2 days, where we will be covering this by next week. Hopefully, that we have confirmed castings. But I like the rumors. I like what I'm hearing. And obviously, these actually aren't all of them, but we just picked like probably the big three right now
Yeah.
that we're hearing. There's been a lot of rumors about a lot of different characters.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we'll have our X-Men by the end of the week, to your point, and how exciting. I'm also really excited too. Like right after you get an official casting, you get like the fan art. Like the fan art of Sadie Sink already has been pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped to see like really talented people like take on the official castings, start to put together like what the roster would look like, and just kind of get those images to be able to picture these folks in the role. I think, yeah, I'm excited for that stage too, because that's always so fun.
Yeah. No, I am too. All right, friends, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. And of course, like I said, it was X-Men related. But we will be back next week as we take on 3 more Marvel news topics of the week, and we'll probably be X-Men related. But make sure you guys are also checking us out on the podcast side as well. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.